Hi, everybody. It's Michelle Jackson, and I am here for a Pen Posse Roundtable here on this Saturday morning. We've got some authors with us, and we're going to be talking about writing. So excited to have everyone here to learn about writing, why we love to write so much. This is part of the Black Writers Workspace as well as directtoauthor.com, which is our bookstore. And we have this bookstore because our goal is to promote as many books by African American and minority, our diverse writers as much as possible. So today you are here with us live so that you can learn about the work that we're doing as writers. And I have some writers here who are dynamic. They're representing three different genres. We've got fiction, nonfiction, and romance. So if you are interested in finding a new dynamic writer in those particular genres, this is the place. If you are a writer and you're interested in learning about writing in those genres, this is the place. But nothing else. If you are just interested in finding books by our African American authors, please go to direct2author.com and you will have a catalog of different books to choose from, and including the books represented by our amazing team of our posse this morning. So let's bring them on the screen. Hi, ladies.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello. Before we get started, I want to do a couple of things. One is I think we're having a little trouble with getting this to show on Facebook. So if you can't see it on Facebook, you can always see it on YouTube, or you can go to the blackwritersworkspace.com to our podcast page, and it'll take you directly to this link. So I just got that message up that Facebook was having a little bit of trouble showing the podcast. So technology, everybody, we're not going to worry about it. We got it. You can still see us on YouTube, and we're going to be on YouTube for a while. So if you are out there, drop us your name and your city and let us know if you're a writer or a reader and what you love. And then we're going to get to our introductions, and we're going to get down to a couple of questions. But you're probably like, why are we here today? Well, we normally have a Pen Posse roundtable where we'll take a topic and just dissect that topic for 2 hours. Well, now we're going to convert some of these weekend sessions to our new exclusive members of the Direct to Author team. This is the posse here. We're all here to promote and to celebrate great work that we are controlling the narrative on, great work that is by a lot of our independent authors and some traditional authors, but work that we want to share with the community. So today we have three distinguished ladies, Miss Sheldon, Miss Murphy, and Miss Morgan, and they are all going to talk to us about their work. So let's get down to learning about them. Oh, one more thing. If you're on YouTube, please hit subscribe. We need you to do that. Click it so that you can get notifications when we go live, and then you can help us to grow our fan base, which is so important. So once again, if you're on YouTube, be sure to subscribe. But let's start with you, Cecily. Tell us about yourself. Tell us about your work. That's what we want to know about.
Yes, Cecily. Who is Cecily Shelton? Personally, I am a childless mother who has fought for more than 18 years to just move beyond merely existing in the world to truly living through the pain. And that is my first book that I wrote, Living Through the Pain, which kind of chronicles or my memoir of that journey of just rebuilding and finding light through loss and learning how to live each day with purpose and with gratitude. Now, my professional life, I've dedicated over 28 years to education as a teacher, a school leader, and a district leader. And currently, I am transitioning into a new phase of life, which I'm very excited about, working for a curriculum company as a success coach. So I'm just feeling like I'm in a season where I'm coming full circle and I'm reconnecting with life. We're connecting with my purpose in life, and I'm helping others to teach and lead and live with intention.
I love it. Thank you so much for being with us. So, the language of grief. Wow. Let's talk a little bit about that, because I know at this age, I'm 51 now. I got to say that 100 times to myself. I'm 51 now. And and when you get to this age, you have seen a lot. You know,
Yes.
those of us who are those out there who are blessed enough to not have experienced a lot of grief, that is just wonderful. But for me, I've lost my mother, I've lost my father, I've lost all my aunts on my mother's side, my on my husband's side, all my aunts. It's very tough. And but grieving is not just about death, it's about other things that we grieve. So give us a few of the key takeaways from your book,
Okay,
what you
so
want us to read and learn. Mhm.
yes, and thank you for that. Yes, grief is very unique, very diverse, and it doesn't just have to be a loss of a person. We grieve community, what's going on in our culture, society right now. So grief happens in a variety of different ways. And after I wrote Living Through the Pain, I start looking at that's the language of grief from A to Z. I start looking at writing as being healing for me. And the language of grief, living through the pain, is more of a memoir. The language of grief is very universal, and it's a reflective journey through the lens of the alphabet, going from A to Z. And each letter introduces a word that's connected with the experience of grief. And each entry is then paired with a make it plain section so that people have a raw, honest, vulnerable forefront to the different experiences that we do have with grief, and to help us to understand that grief doesn't have to be taboo. A lot of us suffer in silence because we don't know what to say or we don't know how to say it. But I want to open up a community where grief is normalized. Basically, that's the term that I use. Grief is normalized, and where we learn to have compassion for everyone. We don't put anybody on a time frame or a time limit. We're just there to support as they learn to live and regain some stability in life again.
That's excellent. And your memoir, you talk about living through the pain. Talk to us a little bit about that. Making the decision to write a memoir is a big decision because you're putting so much of yourself out there for those writers who are trying to get the courage to write a memoir. Talk to us a little bit about that process of getting the courage to
Mm.
put your personal experiences out there. But what was it? What was first? What was the pain that you were living through, without any spoilers? But also, and what gave you the courage to write such a reflective and an intimate book?
Yeah, and the courage. Courage is a huge word. So in 2023, and actually you said 51, I celebrated 51 years of life on October 8th. But my daughter Kayla was born on October 10th and she died on October 12th. So October is a month of like complex emotions for me. And so writing for me began as a healing process. I started therapy after 18 years of living in depression. And like I said, just existing. I would put on the mask and do my day to day obligations, come home, turn off the TV, stare at the wall, and start all over again the next day. And I finally got to a place where I was tired of just existing. I've always had a great support system, but I didn't want to rely on that support system. And so I would just journal. I would have my cell phone sometime and I would just take notes as thoughts came to my head. I never really thought I was writing a book. I was just writing to heal. And like sometimes I would record things that I'm thinking just so I can play it back and reflect on how much I had grown. So as I was doing that and I was going through my therapy, I thought about no one really knows what I've gone through aside from my mother and my best friend Carla. Those were the only people I was transparent with about my hurt and my pain. And once I started to heal, I actually wanted to share that experience with my family and my friends. I wanted them to know the intimate details from going into the hospital and delivering up through Kayla's death, through the funeral, and how I existed afterwards. Now, I had no idea when I wrote this, I would sell about 1,500 copies in the first year. Amazing. That was not my goal. I just wanted my family and friends to know what I experienced and finally have a little piece of Cecily that they hadn't seen in about 18 years. And so that is how my writing process started. And then to my surprise, I started people started reaching out. I was putting my book out on Facebook and joining support groups, and people would ask questions. And I was like, wow, I'm now doing something to help others, because my goal now is I don't want anyone to be depressed for 18 years. I can't control that. And I'm not trying to control anyone's grief, but I do know there is a healthier way to grieve. And if you have support, utilize that support system. And if you don't have support, there's enough groups and now it's free. Facebook, reach out, contact me, let me be that support person, because I don't want anybody to have that type of pain and experience for those many years.
Oh, it's so amazing that you shared your story with us. And I encourage everyone to go out and get your books, both of those books.
Thank
That,
you.
and then we're going to talk a little bit about how to get them. Of course, you can find them on direct to author, but we know you're probably on Amazon and different sites like that as well. But let's go to this, and I want everybody to kind of chime in on this a little bit, because when we're writing these books, there's so many things to consider. I mean, one of the number one questions you ask yourself is, what does success look like for
Hmm.
you in writing the book? Is success just completing the book? Is success making a lot of money from the book? Is the success you healing yourself, you healing your community? And so, as writers, of course, there are writers who are selling thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of copies. And then there are independent authors who are working really hard to sell the books that they have, and trying to get them out there. And like you said, you sold 1,500 copies. That's amazing. That's really really good. But this idea of what is success when it comes to this is something that is important to talk about. So, ladies, open up your mics and let's identify what success looked like for you. You were able, Cecily, it seems like, to use it therapeutically to heal yourself. And what you discovered probably was that there were so many other people out there, readers, who needed that same healing. And in this time, with so much happening in our culture, maybe it's not we're grieving the death of something. Maybe it's just that we're grieving the death of the life before this moment. Um, those of us who are going through, people who are going through divorces are grieving that life. People who have kids who have left for college are grieving their existence at home. Like, we are all grieving something. And so we see that it sounds to me, and you can chime in. Was success really, what was the number one thing that defined your success when it came to this book?
For me, success was healing.
Mm.
I was not concerned about money. Now I was thrilled when it sold. I was like, oh, people want to read my memoir. But success for me definitely was healing. And you just mentioned about the community and different types of loss. And now we're living in a world that's grieving.
Mhm.
Even if we don't always name it that way, our communities are carrying so very much loss of loved ones, loss of stability, loss of jobs, loss of connection, loss of self. And for me, that was it, the loss of self. So gaining myself back was success for me. And
Mhm.
learning how to move forward and use that pain for purpose, that's success for me.
Excellent. Ladies, you want to chime in, Tamara?
Yeah, I would say there's so much that resonates with what you've said, Cecily. Um, one aspect of success for me has been finding community in a new genre, in a new line of work. Michelle, from coming out to your event, from coming to going across the country to festivals and conferences, all these people that I have never met before, this stepping out and on faith to sell these books as an independent self-published author. You don't know what you're going to find, and every sale is a new piece of success. But more than just selling the books, because there's a whole bunch of people that don't buy, right? They come, they pick it up, they're like, oh my gosh, this cover, and they talk to you, and there's something about making that connection with people that is success in and of itself. And I cannot tell you how many complete strangers stand there and say, "You're an author, you did this." And they say, "I am so proud of you." And you feel like that's your auntie. That is your uncle. That is an elder in your family that is telling you, and they are wrapping you in their arms, telling you, "I am so proud of you." And I didn't know I needed that
Mhm.
until I got it. And then I'm like, I need some more of that. Give me more of that. And I want to go to every town I go to. I'm like, "Is somebody proud of me?" It brings out the little girl in you. It's like, oh, I needed my elders. I needed my community to tell me they are proud of me for doing something that I always wanted to do, and reaffirming that little girl in me that, yes, you can do this. That is success beyond in those thousands of books that helps. Those sales helps. But that is success, that reaffirming, you can do this. You are an actual author. That's success.
I
Yes.
love that. You are an actual author.
You
Yes.
are,
That's
you
what this
are.
is all about. I struggle sometimes because I do so many things, but I'm really focused on independent authors. And so and it's harder for us. Like it's really hard as an independent author because you've got to
Yeah.
do everything yourself. And then you have a class of people who think that because you're independent, you can't write, which is hilarious. And so you have all these hurdles to overcome. And but the success is so personal. And making $1 million is great. Yes, I would love to do that. But if I've got two people that step to me and say, "I read your book and it changed my life," I'm done. I've hit that milestone. I'm good because what I want to do is that I want to change lives. I want to inspire people. I want them to see my passion, and I want to feel that I can write something, control the narrative, tell it my way, and
Mhm.
allow my work to explore different topics and different issues that I may not be able to do if I was a traditionally published author. So success means so many different things. Natalie, talk to us. What does success mean to you?
So I'm going to piggyback on what both of them said. Cecily, you were talking about grieving, and you're right. This country is grieving, period. And Tamara, you were talking about selling the books and having somebody say that they're proud of you, especially people you don't know. I've had that experience as well. But for me, all of that ties into um, my what I see as success because yes, I want to sell the books. Yes, I want to stop people from grieving. I write romance. So my way of stopping people from grieving, at least for a little bit, is to write these romance novels where there's a happily ever after.
Yeah.
And if somebody comes to me and say, "Oh, your book, I love the way it ended. Oh, it touched my heart," and I actually had someone, the new book that I'm releasing next week, um, "The Secret in His Kiss." One of my ARC readers came text me and said, "Girl, I'm screaming at you in my head." So I like knowing that I get it, that they get it, that they're feeling what the words that I'm putting in my book. And then beyond that, I've started doing workshops. The workshop is called "From Pen to Publish: The Road to Self-Publishing." And in that workshop, I teach writers how to self-publish their books. And to date, I've had 5 writers go to follow through the process, and now they are self-published authors. That does everything for me. That just means the world to me that they've done that, because that means that I'm giving back what God has given me.
Yes.
And Michelle, just to add to Natalie, that made me think about something that just happened recently. I've had a couple book clubs that have, taken my book, Done in the Dark, and they read the book. And one of the best, next to "I'm proud of you," the next best thing is when the book club readers are into the book and they're talking back and forth with you. And when they start telling you what the characters are feeling, and they know these characters better than you. right? They're like,
Mhm.
no, Miss Tamara. This is what's really been going on. And this is what motivates those characters. And they're telling you what's coming next. And when you get to the sequel, you'll find out, Miss Tamara, that this is what happened. I was like, I'm going to find when I
That's
get to the sequel, I'll find out what was really going on. Okay. Because now they are invested and
Yeah,
they're starting to tell me not just like, oh, the plot, oh, this is what's going on, but they start telling me because this is what was driving them. This is what the pain is behind this character and
Mhm.
that character. I'm like, okay, now you get it because they're
exactly.
starting to think through the themes and all that just
Mhm.
blows me away. And like you, I've had characters that I'm still on. I'm working on the sequel, but I've had readers that are so invested and so interested in the self-publishing route that they're like, so can you help me with my writing
Mhm.
process?
Oh
Can
my
we,
God.
so now there's a couple of them that we're working on their books together.
Mhm.
Like, okay, I want to get through. I'm stuck at this point. So can you help me with this? And now we're like, okay, so let's do this together. So like I'm gonna be a midwife with you working on your first book while I'm still doing my next book. That all of that is success that you can't quantify monetarily.
Correct.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And I, because we'll get off on this. We'll get off on this subject. So, but I want to give everybody an opportunity to first introduce themselves. So let's go back. Let's go back to you, Natalie. I know we were like going down. Just got us talking. We're like, okay, Natalie, tell us about all your amazing romance novels. And then we're gonna go on to Tamara and let her tell us, and then we're gonna go back to talking about success because I think it's important for those writers out there to understand that if you aren't, don't stress yourself about, oh my God, I've got to sell 5,000 copies in order to be successful. You define what success is to you. And that's something I had to learn about it because I was so hesitant to publish, worried about that. So, Natalie, let's go to you.
Well, my name is Natalie R. Murphy. The R stands for Romance Junkie because that is who I am. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. And I started my romance journey during the pandemic. It was not a plan. I woke up one morning, had this story idea in my head, and I heard God clearly say, write the story. And I clearly said no, because I had no idea about writing a book, publishing a book. And for some reason, I thought I'd win that battle. But I tell people that's the best battle I ever lost because being obedient, I wrote my first romance novel, Then Came You, and it won a literary award, a Distinguished Authors Guild award. So I told God from that point, as long as He downloads, I'll continue to write. So to date, I am about to release book number 10. I have 2 series and 1 standalone, and I also have a romance guide because people were saying, girl, you need to write some instructions. You need a romance guide. So I have a romance guide. It's called Make Room for Romance, a flirty guide to passion and play. And it gives you ideas on how to keep the steam and the heat in your romance. All my romance novels are contemporary romance. They're all authentically Black characters because I want to put a different spin on Black love. Black love is not always the gangsters with the gold chains and the hoochie girls in the video. That has its place. I'm not knocking it. That's just not who I am, and that's not what I want to portray. So all my characters, they go through the ups and downs and the roller coasters of love, but they all come out with a happily ever after because that's just who I am, a happily ever after kind of girl.
Okay,
For
Natalie.
young people. Yeah, like
No,
whatever that means.
let's go back to this book about romance because you can't slide that in and not tell us what are the top 3 things in that book that you wanted people to know about
Okay, the
romance.
first thing I'll start is a romance calendar. Every couple should have a romance calendar, and you create your own romance holidays. Now, there are some couple holidays out there. Did you guys know that June 9th is 6-9 Day?
No,
Well, there
tell
you go. And it just goes over a lot of different things you can do, like create a date night bucket list. Write down some things that you like to do, some places you like to go, put it in a jar or a bucket and just pull it out whenever you guys, you can plan it or you can be spontaneous. Um, One of the other things is I say in the book is to keep a romance toolbox. In your romance toolbox, you have candles. You have, depending on how large you want to have it, you can have blankets and pillows. You can have essential oils. You can have anything that makes you feel romantic that's going to set that mood for you in your romance toolbox. And you can create it together. And everything in my book, all the ideas, I suggest do it naked. Makes it more fun.
I love how she said she slid that in. Do it naked. There's no other way to do it. Thank
There's
you,
no other
Natalie.
way to do it. And Sweetest Day, I know a lot of people don't recognize Sweetest Day, but Sweetest Day is October 18th. This is the perfect gift to have for Sweetest Day. Sweetest Day, Valentine's Day, bridal showers, wedding showers, all that good kind of stuff.
I love it. 10
So
books.
cute.
10 books, everybody. This is what I mean by passion to do something. I am writing a romance novel. And Natalie is my accountability partner. And I know she's like, yeah, but you're not moving
We
fast enough.
gonna get it out there. We gonna get it out there.
I love romance. I love romance. I watch all the Hallmark movies. I love romance. And I think that when I sat down to write this book, because I write Christian fiction and I write drama, family drama fiction and young adult. But when I sat down to write this book, it just felt so natural to me. It felt light. It didn't feel very heavy. It felt like I can dive into it and have fun and build some interesting characters with fun-loving ideas about it. I didn't have this stress of like when I wrote my second book, From Darkness to Night, which is a family drama. I was worried about how my characters would look in their environments and how people would perceive their environments. Well, this book that I'm writing, it's these two wonderful Black couple. This boy and girl have been friends since they were 7 and 9 years old, and they're successful. They're adults, but they've been friends for 30 years. But there's this undercover relation, this love affair that they're having that they don't want to explore because they're afraid of where it's going to take them and whether or not it's going to dissolve their friendship. And so I'm building these characters and I just love them. I love how light it is and how fun it is and how they can be silly and playful and romantic. So I really am happy that you're here because I know the type of work that you do. I know that it's amazing. And I know that you love, but now
Yes.
I know that there's a little kinky love in that too, y'all. 69
Just do
days.
it
Do it naked. So thank you. I love that you're here, and we're gonna definitely get back to you and learn a little bit more about your character. So, Ms. Morgan, talk to us about your book, and I have it around here somewhere. So tell me about it.
All right. Well, let me start a little bit with. I was so impressed when you introduced yourself. I was like, I gotta get more polished. I mean, that was a presentation. I'm like, uh-oh. I need to no, be present. But I think I was so impacted by it because your all of our paths, it seems like it all has to do with healing in some shape, form, or fashion. And so I would have started off saying, like what people often say is, well, I'm a recovering lawyer. That's not exactly true. I have a background of being a lawyer for 30 years. And I'm not recovering from it. That's just part of my journey. And so I had a rich career of being an employment lawyer for 30 years. And I was planning to retire soon so that I could explore what I've always wanted to do, which was to write. I'm a storyteller at heart. I did practice employment law because I love the stories. I love the people, the aspect of learning what people do and getting to know people, because people do everything at work. They do not, folks are like, oh, bring your authentic selves. Trust me, folks bring their authentic selves to work. They do everything at work. But I had the wonderful experience of meeting my forever love at 52. It happens. It can happen, romance, folks. It was a beautiful thing. We met and had this whirlwind romance, had the big wedding that you think you wouldn't have at that age and all. And life was great. And then 5 years later, we had uh, life happened differently, and I lost him, and it put me in a really bad space. And so in 2022, it sat me down, and I retired early, and I think I lost that year. I don't know what happened the rest of that year. I literally, that year was gone. And so I went on and I started writing, and I'd always wanted to write. I had a big satchel of things, books and stories and things that I had always wanted to write. Um, but it was time to do something different. And that is what kind of brought me back. And so I self published this book, Done in the Dark. It was a book that I had worked on over the years, so many years. I had been working on this book, but I could never get traction with it because of life, because I was a full time attorney and mom and all of these things. And so grief has a way of just consuming you. And I didn't know how to move out of that. And so all I could do was focus on writing that book and finding a way of putting myself into something different, something outside of myself. And so this book kind of brought me back. And it's not a book specifically about, it's not about grieving. It's not about that process. It's not a memoir in any way. And people are like, is this real? Are these characters real? No, they're probably composites of people I've met along the way. But it was my vehicle to getting back amongst the living. And it was my path to a different part of my journey. So I say that to say that, what you were saying, Cecily, about grieving and how grief takes so many different forms. And it's been such a hard road for me, and it continues to be for me and my daughters, the rest of my family, but it gave us a purpose and a way of connecting with people. So anyway, so Done in the Dark is commercial fiction. It's a story about estranged sisters who they come together at a funeral, the funeral of the matriarch of their family, and they haven't seen each other for 17 years. There is a secret. There's more than one secret, but there's a big family secret. And these women want to connect. They want to reconnect. They want to build their relationship up, but they are so afraid that this secret is going to come out and it's going to ruin the identities that they've created for themselves. And so can they do it? Can they build a relationship without the past coming up? Well, no, because as their grandmother said, what's done in the dark always comes to light. And so you go through the book, you find out, the reader finds out some of what happened before, but it all hits the fan and the secrets come out. And it's a good plot. It moves. You're on the edge of your seat. You're trying to find out, is the secret going to come out? You get attached to the characters and all of that good stuff. But part of what I think is important and what comes across in the book are some overarching themes. Who does the family secret belong to? A lot of times people are like, well, this is my secret. It's not your secret. As soon as if it's a secret, it's between you and at least one other person. But it's a secret belongs to all these people, and it has this ripple effect, and it affects other people's lives. And the book starts getting people talking about accountability, family secret forgiveness, empathy, like all these overarching themes that when we get to book club conversations, when we get to just conversations between one and two people, those are the themes and the discussions that we start having. And one of the things that I love about fiction I've been a reader all my life and, a storyteller. But what I love that fiction can do is open up avenues, open up discussions with folks about things that, you know, a lot of our folks, we don't go to therapy. We should, but we don't. And there's topics that are taboo. There's topics that are taboo within your family, within your community, and all, but we need to heal. We need to talk about what does grief do to us. There's so much that happens with these characters because of grief. There's big things that happen in their family and decisions that they make as children that filter on into their adult relationships because they don't know what to do with this big grief and these big losses that they've experienced. And they make some bad decisions based on that. And then they don't know how to tell anybody what to do with that. And so many people that I talk to that say, well, that kind of happened in my family, or my grandmother told us we can never tell this, or, well, when that happened to us, we just kept it secret, or we found out 30 years later that so-and-so was really this person's child and not that. Yeah, so many things happen in our families and our communities that we just don't talk about. And fiction gives us the opportunity to explore these big, heavy topics in a way that you can explore it, you can take it out, you can look at it from different angles, but at a little bit of a distance. So if it gets to be too much, you can put it down, you can come back to it. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be so intimate that you can't, that you're in pain from it. But I tell you, there are people that have said to me like, "Ooh, this book hit me," or "This was so deep," or "Oh," how many folks have said, "Oh, this is a brown liquor book. Wait a minute." I've had people say they've had to throw the book across the room and they go back and pick it back up. It can bring you to tears. It can make you mad. But whenever something touches you that deeply, it's because there's something else going
Right.
on.
I love what you said about a brown liquor book. That's
That's hilarious.
you guys are like
And
killing me
it
with
comes from all
yes,
directions. I was like, a
yes.
brown liquor book. I think
I
I need
love
to
that.
explore some type of branding with a company or something. Where is the Hennessy people when I need them?
Well, everybody out there, if you have any questions, please, you have so many authors on the screen who can talk to you about the experience of self-publishing, getting published, marketing the book, their passions behind writing the books. So thank you so much for that. It's a couple of things you said I want to go to, but I'm gonna first officially introduce myself because I never seem to do this. I'm Michelle Jackson, and I also am a writer. I've written 3 books: The Heart of a Man, From Darkness to Night, and Poppi Makes Cajun Popcorn Magic. The Poppi book is a book that teaches young kids how to start businesses. So it's something that kind of connects to my day to day, which I'm a professor, or adjunct professor at Tulane University. And I teach youth entrepreneurship at Tulane's Innovation Institute. I am also a business owner. I own an award-winning public relations firm, and I'm the founder of the Black Writers Workspace and direct-to-author.com. But more than anything, I'm someone who always wanted to be a writer, a little girl dragging a typewriter through the projects, who wanted to write and would write poetry and send it to Write On Magazine. For those of you who young, you don't know what Write On Magazine is, but it's an old school magazine. It's like Jet. I always wanted to be a writer, but I did not write my first book until I was 35 years old. And once I did, I was having a bad day at the office and just started writing a story. Wasn't even trying to write a book. I was just writing a story, and all of a sudden it just took on a life of its own. And it's fiction, and it just blew me away to know that I had that much creativity in me. I'm like, everything is coming up. And from that point on, I've been writing ever since. So I just wanted to very briefly introduce myself so that you'll know me. And my books and everyone's books on this screen is on direct-to-author.com. And I'll be putting up some information about that shortly. So I do encourage everyone. But if you have any questions, drop your questions because we want to hear from you, want to get some responses to you. But Ms. Morgan, you said something that I think was so interesting, and that is about the fact that in the African American community, and I had a podcast about this, we talked about all the things we had to unlearn in our culture.
Mhm.
What do we have to unlearn in our culture? Because we have urban myths, we got grandma stories, we got things you just better not do because you're from an African American community. You don't go out there and talk about your business.
Right.
There were so many things that writers, before we could really put pen to paper, had to unlearn in order to get to a space where we could share. So a lot of our books, because my second book, From Darkness to Night, is very similar to yours. If there's a secret, there's a Black
Mhm.
family who's struggling. A brother dies from he's murdered. A sister blames herself. But there is this undercurrent of secrecy in this family that no one talks about, and they are watching it generation after generation destroy people, instead of someone just saying, "Let me tell my truth about
Right.
this and get this out here so that we can deal with it as a family,
And
heal,
heal.
and heal, and so it'll stop hurting all these generations." There is this muzzle on the family that is sitting here watching this secret hurt everybody, and they still won't share. So this idea of unlearning something in the African American community, and I feel like we all are touching on this to some degree. Cicely, you're saying there's grief, and this grief needs to be dealt with. How many people are told, suck it up, especially our African American men, suck it up, you
Yeah.
know, something has hurt you, don't go to counseling. We don't do counseling, go to the church. And I'm not against going to church, so I don't want anybody hit me up about that. But go to church, don't go to therapy, just cry in the dark and go on. And then Natalie, you're talking about romance. There's this idea that Black people we're not romantic people.
Right.
This, we don't want sweet kisses and soft life, and we don't want
Yeah.
that. We don't, we don't want it. We don't know how to have it. We can't have it. And I see that a lot now in different things that I'm seeing on social media, where it's always like the Black man being pitted against the Black woman instead of the love and the romance of it. And so, and then Tamara, you're talking about secrets, just flat out family secrets, right?
Yeah.
These secrets that are impacting these sisters. So very quickly, what did you have to unlearn? I had to go here to get to this place of being able to write these stories in truth, because
Mhm.
fiction, although the work may be fictitious, what's in you that gets you to write it is very real. there is something that drove you, Ms. Morgan, to want to talk about these secrets. There's something that drove me to want to write a book about secrets. I mean,
Yeah.
I am someone who's always like, I'm so tired of these secrets killing our people. Like, I'm serious. I'm tired of 30 years later, Uncle Ray Ray was in the basement molesting all the kids in the family. I'm just keeping it real. And no one said a word. And then he's
Yeah.
deceased, and the
Just
whole
walk
family
around.
about over it. And it's just like, why do we just deal with this? We just won't do it. So talk to us. Talk to me a little bit about what you had to unlearn in order to get to this space to write the book.
I think you've touched on it. It's just that. It's this willingness to be the one that says, it happened. It happened. And to keep saying it happened. And you know what? It's gonna be okay, because behind the secret, behind Mama so and so saying, don't tell this, is fear. And I think that's what we're not willing to understand. In my book, it opens with the matriarch on her deathbed telling the granddaughter, every shut eye ain't sleep, every goodbye ain't gone, and what's done in the dark always comes to light. Now, she's the one that told him, keep this quiet, right? Now, wait a minute. You say it always comes to light, but you've been keeping it in the dark all this time. So there's that juxtaposition, right? So, okay, Mama Ella, you told me it comes to light, but you've been keeping it dark. So that there's confusion there. But that confusion has been in our families for so long. So our elders, this, but you're still not telling us to let it out. You know this, but you're not telling us to let it out. So that having to unlearn it, I remember in my own family being told, yes, I know this thing happened. I know this thing happened, but we just gonna pray on it. We just gonna pray on it. I'm not against praying, but should we pray and should we pray and do something?
Yeah, we pray and go to
Right.
therapy. Yes,
Right.
Right. We just
yes.
gonna pray. Should we pray and maybe leave? I'm just saying, maybe there's more than one thing we should do. And so I think as I not just write this book, but as I look to other things to write, other stories to write, as I talk to people in my own family, but then as I talk to readers, because they're coming telling me, well, this is what happened in my family, and my family. I'm like, whew, everything anybody tells me is another potential story, right? I don't
Mhm.
want to talk about, I'm not focusing on writing about trauma, right?
Mhm.
I would love to be writing about romance, right? But I want to write about healing in different ways. So romance would be good. It's something light. But everything that comes to me is like, let's expose, let's break the boil, lance the boil, or whatever. We got to
Mhm.
let it out. We got to let it out. And there's so much to let out. And
Mhm.
so that's part of the unlearning is this notion of just get past it. I think we, and particularly as Black women, we've been told that we must be resilient. You are resilient, strong Black women. We get through things. We just take it on and we get through it. Don't worry. I got it. I got it. I got it. And I'm trying to unlearn that. I don't got it. I don't want to have it. I want to put that cape up. I want to put that cape in one of those shadow boxes and hang it up on the wall. Like, look at that relic.
Right.
Like it's in a museum or something where people are talking about my soft era. I want to have a soft era. But that means you got to unlearn the I got it.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
agree.
what I'm trying to
I
learn,
agree.
unlearn.
But Cicely, what do you have to unlearn in order to get to this place to write these powerful books?
As Tamara was speaking, I'm sitting here trying not to nod my head all the time because I'm nodding. You said the key thing for me, I had to unlearn the concept of perfection.
Mm.
As a Black woman, we fight so hard to prove who we are, our self value, our worth in professions that we deserve to be in the position that we're in. And as I went through therapy, that was something that I'm very big on therapy. Yes, pray, but therapy and prayer together, yes, power. But I had to unlearn perfection and recognize that progression is acceptable as long as I am progressing in life because there's not any real perfection. If I reach perfection, then I'm no longer on earth. So that concept or idea of perfection had to leave out of my head. And for me, losing a child was a failure. That was something that, I was supposed to be able to do. I was supposed to be a wife. I was supposed to be educated. I was supposed to be a mother. Well, who said that? Who
Mhm.
put all of those things into my head? No one in my life did. No one told me that's something I had to do. Those were unrealistic expectations that I put upon myself instead of learning how to give myself the space and the grace to move in progression.
You said so much that is so powerful. First, yes, I mean, sometimes we have to unlearn tradition. Tradition says get married.
Hmm.
Oh, and don't get married at 52. No, get married when you're young, and then have
And get it
kids.
right.
Get it right, right. These are the steps to success. I couldn't get pregnant. Okay. I couldn't, I lost a baby. I couldn't get pregnant after that. And I went through 7, 8 doctors and went through quite a bit to try to do that. And I had to come to that place, Cicely, where I said, who said that this is the way it's supposed to be? I now have a son and I love him dearly, but I couldn't get pregnant. And so when you're young, I was in my 30s and I had this great career and all these things was happening, but I couldn't do this one thing and it depleted so much
Yes.
of me because I was so holding on to tradition. I should get married, have a baby. I don't know what come after that. It wasn't soft life though, but it was that. And now I'm going, okay, I throw all that out. I had to unlearn those types of success matrix on my own life. That success was I had to do it the way everyone else is doing it.
Yeah.
Instead, I did it a whole different way and I'm just as happy, you know? And so I think those are the types of things that are important. You know, you really get to connect with a part of yourself when you write these books that people can't understand. You know, you get in a dark room and you begin, and it doesn't matter what you're writing. I want to stress that because people think that's only the case if you're writing nonfiction. No, that's if you're writing fiction, children's, romance, everything. You have to get so deep within yourself to develop these characters because you're pouring so much of yourself into these characters. So I love that point of saying, you know what, I had to unlearn the tradition of things and just kind of stick to, you know, who am I? What am I doing? And yes, I don't know about everybody else, but therapy is key. So people out there, go to therapy. I love it. It opens your mind up. It helps you to deal with so many things. And in our culture, we've been taught this just don't go to therapy. And now I'm hearing more people, even men, are like, I go to therapy and they are growing from it. So that is so beautiful. Natalie, no, you're these romance. What did you have to unlearn to get to that place of honesty within writing romance? And I know that's hard.
Yeah. The thing for me, a couple of things. One, I had to unlearn to keep things to myself because of what other people might think.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big one for me because I'm one, I tease and I tell people I've never wanted to be Gladys. I'm always a Pip. It's meaning I'm always in the background. Just keep me in the background and I'm good and I'm safe. So I had to unlearn that thought process because writing these books puts me out front to have people to look at me and think whatever they think about me or my books or whatever. And that was a hard thing for me to unlearn. And then on top of that, writing romance, I call them my passion scenes, but they're the love scenes. What are people going to think about that? You know, how should I handle that? You know, and my biggest thought, I had two big concerns, my mom and the church. My mom read my book. She said, it's all in the context of love. She said, so it's fine. She said, it's not raunchy. She said, I'm good. So my story is, my mama said it's okay. So I'm writing it. The other thing was church. But as I thought more about that, there's nothing in my books that the people in the church aren't doing, because that's how the church stays full. So once I got past that part, and someone in the book club that read my book that I'm releasing next week said that they appreciate the fact that I talk about that I have the sex scenes in a book, because they said it's not too much, but it helps with the plot of the book. It's not just thrown in haphazardly. So that was hard for me to overcome, to put myself out there, and then on top of that, it bring out love scenes.
Well, you know, and it's so interesting because these things are somewhat taboo. You don't talk about what goes on in the bedroom. You don't talk about those passions, those hurts, those desires. And then there are these overlays of issues around the perception of Black women, that we are strong. We're not looked at in some instances as sexual beings unless it's over sexualization. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But just, you know, being a woman who enjoys sex and enjoys love, you don't hear us talk about things like
exactly.
that. It's like this taboo. You don't say that you love sex, you know, because it makes you sound like something is wrong with you. But that's a human. People have sex. It happens. So
exactly.
It's very interesting you said that. When I wrote my first book, it was a Christian fiction novel, and I don't think my character steps foot in a church the whole time. I wanted to deal with spirituality and the growth of it, but I wasn't trying to deal with it in the body of the church. And so, and also, oddly enough, my first character is a Caucasian man, my main character, because the book I wrote was about a problem I was having at my job. And the character that I developed was the CEO of the company I was working with. And he just happened to be someone who's not African American. I did get people to ask me, why couldn't he? Why isn't he black? That wasn't the story that came to me. And I wrote in honesty about what I was feeling. Now there are all these debates about, can you write outside your culture and all those types of things. I won't even go into that, but I will say that as an artist, I want to be able to do my work my way. And so I did. And I love the book. I love it. Actually, he was more like me than any other character I've ever written. But
Mm.
there were things about writing a Christian fiction novel that I had to say, that I've had some people to say, because this is a story about a man who's very, very wealthy, who's unhappy. And so he's very handsome. He's married to this very attractive woman, but she's money hungry. His mother dies of cancer. My mother had just passed of cancer. So a lot of these things were, like my life, but he was, he ends up going back to his old community because he grew up poor and trying to help the people there. But he begins to lie about who he was because he wants to integrate himself back into this old community and find himself. And he falls in love with this girl. And then he's got his wife, he's got her, he's lying to everybody. And so it all comes to, a really, an end, what leads him down a really bad path where he has to go and clean up his life. Now, needless to say, I wrote this book and all I wanted to do was to really talk about the topic of kind of money can't buy you love, and that was kind of the goal of the book. But it was Christian fiction because there is a character in the book who kind of mentors him throughout the book, who's really symbolic of Christ. But he didn't go on to church. He wasn't in the church. He wasn't doing those things. So I didn't know how people would, in our culture would accept that. How does this Christian fiction and we don't have a church scene?
Mm-hmm.
Because most of our black movies, there's a church scene.
Right.
Everybody go to church. But anyway, so this passion, this thing that we do with writing is so powerful, it's so impactful, and we're able to kind of tap into so many different things within ourselves. And I just love this idea of having to unlearn these things, because it's hard to write when you are censored by things within the culture. If you were worried about what people were going to think about you writing romance, you would never have written the book.
Exactly.
You were worried about what people were going to ask you about grief, you would never have written that. And if you were worried about secrets, people coming to you, what's this secret? I know when I wrote my book, I had family members to say, am I in the book? Is that me?
Oh, yeah.
Really tangled up in these books, and you're like, oh wow, this is serious. So that's great that everyone was able to share that. Drop your questions, everybody. I know it's kind of, it may be difficult. We were able to get the Facebook back up, so you can see it on Facebook. You can drop your questions. I know you're out there, so please do so. You can drop those on YouTube as well. So if you're there, just drop me something so I can see you and give you a shout out. But let's talk about book publishing a little bit, because once again, are we all self-published authors here?
Yes.
Okay. Which is great. So for those of you out there who want to self-publish a book, and I'm like you, I get questions honestly every day. I get an email or a request every day to help somebody write a book. And I don't mind. I try to help as much as I can, but you got to understand that when you are a self-published author, you are self-published, meaning it's your responsibility. You have to write it. You have to publish it. If you can hire people to do your book cover, your editing. I'm not saying don't hire professionals to do pieces of it, but the responsibility is on you. So you've got to get it published. You've got to start marketing it. And you're going to be marketing these books, in my opinion, for the rest of your life, right?
Absolutely.
There isn't some big pot of money in some professional who's sitting there saying, I've got 50K and I'm going to promote you. That's not what most of us have as self-published authors. If we've got $1,000 sitting over there, that's a blessing. But so you're going to be talking about these books, sharing them with people. But the first step, of course, is publishing. So let's talk a little bit about publishing your book. What did you guys learn in that process? And if you could go back, this is the first book, Natalie. This is the first book, Cecily. what what would you tell that person, your old before, well, it's not before Christ, how you say it now, before publishing?
BC.
Right. What would you tell that person about publishing? Things that you've learned thus far. Cicely, talk to us about that.
Okay, sure. The first book I self-published, but I didn't do it alone. I did pay someone to do the editing. And what I learned is I could do all of those things myself. I'm very educated. I know how to write very well. And with this second book, it gave me more control. I felt like more creative control of my message, of my timing. It wasn't someone saying, well, change this line. No, I said it exactly how I wanted to say it, and the meaning was not changed in any way. And so what I've learned from that is I really can do anything that I set my mind to. Since my first book, I have started a publishing company, and I design covers, I ghostwrite, I research, and I'm just getting better and better at my craft. So for me, if you're going to be an author and you're going to self-publish, just make sure to do the research and make sure that you put out the best version of you. Don't expect your first book to be perfect. We talked about perfection. I go back to my first book now and I'm like, I can rewrite that entire memoir over and it would be so great. You're always going to find fault in something that you do, but edit. Have someone else to read it, someone that you trust, not necessarily beta readers, but someone that you trust that's going to give you honest feedback, and then put out the best version of it and be okay with whatever you release because you're always going to find some fault. As you said with the marketing, that's the tough part. uh, you would think the writing is the hardest part. Okay, you get past that. Then it's the publishing. Okay, now you get past that. No, the marketing is the part. Marketing is a whole nother beast, a whole nother journey. But if you are passionate about what you're doing, that means you have to invest some time daily into marketing, whether that's social media, word of mouth, setting up a website, uh, reaching out to book clubs, podcasts. When I did my marketing, I just researched grief support systems and emailed everybody that I could email, therapists. I donated books because again, it's not always about making money. We're trying to make an impact, and to make an impact, you have to get your books in the hands of readers. Sometimes that means you're going to give things away. That's part of your marketing plan and part of the marketing process. So for me, I would just say if you're going to self-publish, think about a timeline, have some realistic expectations, and it's okay if you don't meet that timeline. Just don't give up on what you're doing.
I love that. Everything you said is 100%. Something I do say to our authors is that set aside a marketing budget. And I say this is my rule of thumb. If you're looking to sell 1,500 copies, set aside at least $1 per book for marketing. That's $1,500. It's not a lot. That's just very conservative, but at least it gives you a little bit of some money set aside, because a lot of us think we're going to publish these books and people are going to come running and we're going to sell them out. And I always say your first 100, 150 books, those are your friends and family. Those are people who love you, people who changed your diaper when you were little, your beautician. They're all going to buy the book. They're probably not going to read it. So don't ask them about the book after that. They just need it. And then after you finish that 100, 150, then it's about trying to sell outside of your tribe. And it gets hard because now you're up against every book out there. So you have to have some budget set aside. You've got to come out of your box. If you are shy, sorry, shy self-published authors don't survive. You've got to go out there. I need to see your face on a podcast. I need to see you speaking at events, go to book fairs. It really is, you have to have a strategy behind it. And so I love everything that you said. I believe in, I use someone to do my book covers. I bring in editors because I'm a little too close to it to edit myself. But I do use a lot of the tools, Grammarly and different things, and make sure that it's what it needs to be. I do a lot of research. You're absolutely right. You've got to research your books. Um, but this publishing thing is tough. You've got Amazon, you've got Ingram Spark, you've got you can do it yourself if you choose to, but there are a lot of questions behind it. I'm working with a young lady now who's decided to self-publish her to do it all on Amazon KDP, and KDP will allow you to upload your book and it'll go live on Amazon. But then I found out that you need to put your books on Ingram Sparks in order for it to get into bookstores. These are things I didn't know. If I could go back, because I published my first book in 2010 when honestly there was no information out there. So my first book, I put it out and had no idea. I used a vanity publisher. I spent about $2,500 doing that. They put it out there, created a website. They did all that stuff. But now I have no access to certain things. It was not the best decision I could have made. They did not edit the book, so I still had to pay an editor. So, you live and you learn. The other two books, I completely did those myself. I hired everyone and got it done. And I enjoyed the process. But for those who are out there who I get calls all the time saying, how do I publish? For those who are out there, and I want to say this, and then we're going to move on to our other two speakers so they can talk about their publishing and marketing process. I want to say this, that if you publish your book, especially if it's independent, I want you to be cautious to assume that you're going to sell 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 copies. Okay. Be conservative on those numbers, because I see people who get so depressed because they say, I wrote this book and I put it out there and it's not selling. It's not going to sell itself. It is not going to sell. Even if you are traditionally published, it's not going to sell itself. That's why when we see someone new coming out with a book, like Alvin, what's his name? Everson, the basketball player book is out now. I can't remember his name. And he's everywhere. Yes, he's everywhere. So if he's got to go out from bookstore to bookstore, from event to event, from interview to interview, you've got to do that and then some. So please don't publish your book, put it on Amazon, and then say, oh gosh, nobody likes it, and won't do anything. I invite you to book fairs. You won't come. You won't come on the podcast. You won't spend a dime on marketing. You won't do anything. And then you're like, what's wrong? What's wrong is you got to make this a priority. So that's why we're all here on this screen. We wouldn't be here on a Saturday morning if it wasn't for the fact that we're trying to get in front of our marketing and make sure that people know about who we are and why we do what we do. So let's work and talk to
Michelle. Real quick, I did forget to mention, I do have a great marketing agent. She is 82 years old. Her name is Ruby Shelton. She gets my book sold. That's my mother.
Go, Mom.
Yes.
There you go.
Mom gets the book sold.
And you know what? If there are those what I call ambassadors out there. I had a young girl a girl I knew. My husband's in the military, so she was a soldier. She read one of my books and she just started selling them to everybody at her church. And I was just like, oh my God, thank you. So if you got those angels,
yes,
thank them, because you will need them. So that's excellent. Ms. Morgan, talk to us about your publishing and your marketing.
Well, so a couple of things that you brought up. One is, like you, Cecily, I can research. I have edited all kinds of things all my life. So I thought, I can do this. I don't need all that help. I can edit. I can edit my butt off. When it's your own work, I would just say for myself, as Michelle said, you can be too close to it. And so I believe you should have an editor at some point, so I did get an editor, and that's good. But then where I think a mistake or something that I would do differently, what I thought is, I got an editor, this is good, I'm comfortable with it, I'm ready to go. I don't need a proofreader. And that, I think, was a mistake, because a proofreader and an editor are two different things. And I thought, this is fine. Got it out there, and then I'm like, oh no, wait a minute. I see mistakes, and I see those are two different things. And I thought Grammarly and pro writing and all those other things that you've done would have caught things that they don't catch the the rules about what should be capitalized after the open parentheses and what shouldn't be, and is that consistent throughout the book. But I'll tell you, once that's printed and you go back and look at it, those things jump out at you. And it's nothing like a reader telling you, yeah, this was good, but there are these typos or these grammatical things. And I'm like, really? Oh no. So yes, so that's one thing that I would do differently. I would invest in a proofreader, although they are expensive if you write longer books. They go by
Well,
the word.
I tell you what, if you've written over 50,000 words and there's one typo and someone called you, you tell them to call me because I got something to tell them. I I have a PR firm. I write all the time. Okay. I just wrapped up a piece I'm writing for a college yesterday. And I get so frustrated. When I wrote my first book, I had someone do, oh, I love your story. It was so good. But I found a typo on page blah,
Right.
blah, blah. And I was just like, I wrote
That,
80,000 words.
and you
And
found a
I
typo.
hired 2 editors and there was still a typo. I'm going to be okay. What they say, don't let perfection, what? That's
Getting to the place of it be the enemy
that's
of good or
to
something
be
like
the
that,
enemy of the
right?
good. Don't let
Yes.
perfection be the enemy of good. And I don't say that to say we should not write with a certain standard because we should. But I've read textbooks and best-selling books with typos in them. So I just want
This is
to
true.
make sure that as writers, if that's why you're not writing, I want you to take a step back and realize that get a good editor, get you some beta readers if you need them, get you whatever readers you need, whatever you need, get you some people close to you, take it through the process. Don't just have a standard, but please don't fall apart over that 1 or 2
Yeah.
misspelled words because that right there drives me nuts when I see. I want to just say to them, "Have you ever written anything beyond like 500 words?"
Right.
Because
I
most
mean, do
people,
your spell check. Do your spell check. Yes, right. Have some standards, but I agree with
yes,
you. So
it
that's the one
really is
thing.
tough. Uh-huh.
The bigger thing for me has been the marketing and promotion. Not my bailiwick, not where I'm what I'm used to doing. So that's been the biggest hurdle for me. I'm not a social media person. Having to, as I too, Natalie, would be a pip. I'm used to being behind the scenes. I'm used to building other people up. You can do it, go forward. I'll edit you, I'll push you forward. And now having to be the one in the front, that's not my comfort zone. That has been a challenge for me. But even getting past that part, sure, I'll get up there and do it. But you got to be ready to do that. You got to do the work to even get in front of folks. You have to figure out social media, figure out, well, okay, I'll do a podcast. What podcast? Like, luckily, you got a Michelle inviting you to a podcast, but that's way down the road. You have to get to a place to get invited to a podcast. You have to figure out how to put something on social media and all of that. That is challenging. And that has been there's not necessarily a roadmap for exactly here's what you do, step one, step two, how to do it. Make sure if you happen to find a Michelle or someone else that's going to say, girl, do this, do that, make sure you do this. And then here's someone else that's holding you accountable, right? I need a buddy. I need a buddy that says, did you do what you said you were going to do? Did you make sure? And to say, that's okay that you didn't make a sale
Mhm.
today, this week, or whatever. Do it again, do it again, do it again. All of that is difficult. It's hard to do. It's hard to make sure that you're going to both hold yourself accountable and give yourself some grace, learning
Absolutely.
something new.
Absolutely. It is not easy to market these books and it can be very frustrating because like I said, I always say those first 100, 150 books are going to be friends and family. And it's going to feel so good when they're buying them. But then you may go another year and you're like, wait a minute, I haven't sold many books. So then you begin to wonder why. Is it the work? But you've got to remember that a lot of the books that are selling thousands and thousands of copies are from people who have a really big fan base online. And for most of us, we just don't have 50, 60,000 followers or
Right.
100,000 followers. And so you've got to remember that is an issue. It doesn't mean that the book isn't good or anything, but it can sometimes be just the fact that the way our world is now is about followers and likes. And if you're not a social media person, if you're not an entertainer, an athlete, it's really hard to get that momentum. And also, if you're not coming from one of the big 4 or 5 publishing companies who's going to put that money behind you and make a big investment. So don't lose your confidence. If you are writing and you love what you do, keep doing it. Ms. Morgan, you
There's
have
one thing, yeah, there's one thing I would mention. There's a mystery to this that we don't have the information to understand. So there's an Amazon algorithm that they're not giving us the key to, but something magical happens and you don't always understand how or why. A young lady read my book. She's been a supporter. She made a post recently, and all she said was, she literally put this and said, "You got to buy this book." I was like, "Oh, that's so sweet of her. Thank you." And her post got reposted so many hundreds of times. This has happened to me before, and I'm grateful. Thank you. I don't know what happened with Amazon that week. I don't know if it was a support a Black woman week or whatever happened. All of a sudden, I sold 400 books that week.
Wow.
I've never sold 400 books on Amazon in the last year and a half, but that week it was 400 books. I can only tie it back to this one young lady's post, which I have like, thank you, thank you, thank you. She is I love her. But it's happened before. Other people have made the same kind of post, but for whatever reason, it clicked with Amazon that week, and they decided to push it up. Now, that it went about 6 weeks, and now it's kind of going down again. I've been trying to figure out, but how do I replicate it? How do I replicate it? And I made some posts and things, but I'm convinced there's only so much you can do with Amazon because they've got their own things happening behind the scenes. I'm trying, but I don't know.
I agree. And it's funny because I saw that post and I was like, that's my girl. I reposted your post. I reposted her post on my page because I was so excited to see so many people hitting like, and I know you came out to the Black Ink Book Festival and I was just so excited. Yeah. So there are definitely a lot of different things that these algorithms would do. Even with me, I started the Black Writers Workspace in 2020. We have 17,000 people on the Black Writers Workspace. It started as a private group on Facebook with 15 people. Now it's 17,000. I can tell you there are months, like every day I get between 10 or 20 people who want to get on the page because I curate the page. So I approve everybody on and I approve every post. I want to make sure everybody knows that I approve every post. So that's why I spend a lot of time. I've been doing this now since 2020. There are periods where I used to get 200 people in a matter of 4 days who wanted to get on the page. And then there are periods I won't get but 5. It's the algorithm. It goes up, it goes down. And when you can catch it in the right, it will spin and you'll get all types of traction. But also, this young lady did you a great favor in that she told the truth about your work. She let people know about it. And that's why we have to get out there. That's why you can't be an introvert and sell these books, because how did she find your book? How did she, in the fact that
I went to a festival. She bought that book. She read the book. It was from being out there. She's in Tulsa.
Yes, you got to get out there. You got to sell the books. You've got to talk about them. And that's important. A lot of us want to do it for a minute, but we don't want to do it for the long haul. So that's interesting. Natalie, talk to us about your marketing and your promotion and publishing.
Well, one of the things that I learned in my publishing is that my marketing is that, like you said, Michelle, you have to have a budget set aside. You have to plan for marketing because marketing is not free. I do a lot of vendor events, and what I have found is that I have to be more specific. When I first started, I was just going to vendor events, but some of these vendor events are just like flea markets. So it's like everybody is there. Everybody's looking for everything different. They're not specifically looking for books. So I have since learned to focus on going to book fairs, book vendor events, where where the readers are. And so that has made a difference when I sell my books, because before going to just any vendor event, I might sell 2, maybe 3 books. But going to a book fair, I may sell 10, 12 books when it's specifically for books. I also found that because my books are African American books, that I need to focus on African American events, because when I go to events that aren't specifically African American events, I don't do as well. I get the kudos and everything, but I don't get the sales. So that, for me, that was um, a big cross to bear, because I'm like, I'm going to these events, but I'm not really selling books. But then after it clicked in, go to African American book fair events or book fair events, I do a lot better than I did before. But still, like you said, expecting 400, 500, 1,500 book sales as soon as you jump out there. I've been doing this now for 5 years. I've never sold 1,500 of any of my books. So it's a process, and you also have to realize that there are so many other indie book authors out there. There are so many traditional books out there, that we're all small fish in a big pond. So to be seen, you have to hustle. As they say, you have to get your hustle on.
Yeah, you do. And I love what you said. I mean, you've got to figure out where your market is, and your market, you've got to be very specific to who that market is, because it's going to help you it's going to keep you from doing what I call guerrilla marketing, where you're just throwing a wide net and trying to suck up everything that's out there, and you're getting shoes and and bottles and everything, and tangling your net. You don't want to do that. It's expensive too. So if you know who your market is, if you know your market is African American women between the ages of 18 and 54, then go where they are. If you know your market is young adults, 13 to 18 or 18 to 25, go there. If it's women who are struggling, and you can give some free books to some of your local shelters, that's a great way to do it. If it's people who are grieving, the church, it may be a great space for you. So understanding your market is your target audience is key. But when you're just trying to, I think everybody wants to read this book. Everybody doesn't want to read your book. So it is important to know that. That's why I always tell people, when you are starting your writing, you need to start thinking about the marketing. Don't start thinking about the marketing once the book is done. Start thinking about, who's my audience when you start to write, because then you can have a full understanding and acceptance of that. And I've made that mistake. If I wanted to answer this question, I would say this. What I've learned was, when I did the vanity publishing, I spent a lot of money. The first thing I learned was that I could do it myself. And so I did. And so my second book, I published myself. I even did my own book cover. Then I had someone to change the book cover, because I looked at it one day and was like, oh God, who did this? And so changed that. But I did those types of things. My second book, From Darkness to Night, was a much harder book to write than the first book. The first book was fun. I wasn't really trying to write a book. The second book was very intentional, and it had a lot of things in it that were kind of personal. And the mistake I made, though, was this book talks about healing. It talks about drug addiction, mental health, and I didn't market it that way. I did the guerrilla marketing and just said, oh, Black people will love this book, or people of color will love this book. Instead of really honing in, I think, Cecily, you said this about giving those books away to different shelters and really trying to build a fan base that was composed of people who could learn and heal from my book. And so I learned that. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do better. So the third book, Poppi book, I really focus in on getting it to nonprofits who teach kids entrepreneurship and trying to sell it in bulk. That is my thing. I like to try to sell my book in bulk. That just helps me tremendously, because I don't have a lot of time to do a lot of I put on book fairs, so I don't have time to go to a lot of book fairs. And so it helps a lot. So these are some of the things that we run into. You can publish your books on Amazon. They are going to take about 40% of what you earn. What I do also, and ladies told me if there's something that you're doing, I buy my book in bulk and I just sell them on my website. I can price them how I want to. I make more money that way. I don't
Mm-hmm.
depend on Amazon. I always tell people when you are depending on Amazon, the Amazon is 30 million probably books, and you competing with the Holy Bible when you when you're on Amazon. It is a really tough market. Something else I would like to say that I'm learning is that people are getting out again. So bookstores are becoming a thing again, and Barnes and Noble is one that I can say locally here in New Orleans has done a great job of allowing us to come in and sell our books. And so if you're near a Barnes and Noble, go in there, talk to the manager and say, I'm a local author and I would love to host a book signing. And they're going to take 40%. Okay. They're going to run it through their system, but you've got an audience that's already in the store. These are book lovers. So take advantage of that. A lot of our small independent bookstores can sometimes be a little harder to get into because they have a small amount of inventory and they don't always do a lot with local authors or independent authors, but go to them as well. So any of those resources that you guys want to share with our writers out there?
I use lulu.com when publishing. Is very simple, but it also, once approved, goes on all global platforms. So it's on Amazon, it's on Barnes and Noble, Target, Walmart, all of your global online bookstores, as well as what is it? In Ingram Sparks. Okay.
Ingram
Yeah.
Sparks.
Yes, as well as on there as well. So it's sort of a one-stop shop, but I'm with you, Michelle. I also use my website um, and purchase in bulk. But with Lulu, you have a larger percentage of your money, and it's on their bookstore as well than you do using Amazon.
Yeah, I like Lulu. I did a webinar for them a couple of years back, and so that's really good. So there are a lot of sources out there, but for everyone out there who want to purchase your books, we have a bookstore called Direct Number Two Author, the direct2author.com, and you can go there. You can find all of these books. Now, this is a book marketplace, so we don't sell the books, but we allow you to buy the books the way the author wants you to buy their book. And what that will do is allow the author to maximize the amount of money they can take home. Okay. So if you prefer for me to buy the book from your website, then you will list your website on Direct to Author. If you want them to go to Amazon, Lulu, wherever, this gives them some control because it is important, that we are maximizing the amount of money that we can make from these books because it is expensive to get books done. I mean, you've got to upload them. Yes, that may be free, but you're going to lose 40%. But you also have to do your editing, your cover, your marketing. So we do want our authors to make money. So that's why we created Direct to Author. Right now, we have really over 500 books in our archive, but you probably see only our exclusive books right now. We've converted the system over to a membership program because we're trying to drive more people to become a member, and then you can get access to not only the bookstore, but also to the podcast and to a number of other things that we do, including the Black Ink Book Festival here in New Orleans, which this year is going to be on June 20th of 2026. And we invite everybody to come out. So that's going to be an amazing event as well. So we're going to wrap up. We know we've already talked over almost an hour and 30 minutes. We're going to do an hour. You see how this works. And so thank you so much, everybody. I want you to wrap up and give a few words of encouragement to our readers or our writers or both. But I wanted to thank you all for coming on here. It is so important. We're going to be doing these from time to time with our exclusive members, and everyone on the screen is an exclusive member of the Direct to Author team. And so if you want to join us, you can go to Direct to Author and upload your book. There's only one fee, is $19 a year. That's it, one fee. And we take that money and we create platforms like this so that we can help promote you. But I do thank you all. I've learned so much. We could have done this for another hour, to be honest with you. So much to talk about, but I'm going to make sure everyone knows, go get their books. They are writing, they're doing some dynamic work. You better believe it. We are independent, but we know how to write. So please don't believe the hype when it comes to that. Learn and go out and support us, because we definitely need your support. Let's start with you though, Natalie. If you want to give a few words of encouragement to those out there, and so we can wrap up.
Absolutely. So, to those writers out there who have those books sitting on your shelf catching dust, get those books out there. If you're looking for someone to help you, have a workshop from Pen to Publish, The Road to Self-Publishing. I have 5 authors out there now. 2 have won literary awards, so I can walk you through the process. If you're scared, do it scared, because fear does not go away. I tell people we have 3 things that we fear. We fear rejection because we don't want anybody to reject us. We fear. I'm sorry, we fear success because that opens a whole new ball of wax that we have to get involved in. And we fear other people's opinions. Let that go. If it's in your heart, you want to put it out there to the world, do it. Somebody is waiting to read your work.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Natalie. 10 books, y'all. 10 books.
Yes.
What's 69 day again? Tell me what
June
day?
9th. June
Okay.
9th is 6-9 day.
69 day. And then
Now, if you get my book, Make Room for
College.
Romance, this romance guide, it has all those calendar days in there. I'm telling you, it's hot.
and what we said, October 18th is what day is that again?
October 18th is Sweetest Day. That's a week from today, and I will be releasing book number 10. It's called The Secret in His Kiss. That one, yeah, a lot of intrigue in that one.
Okay, husband, if you're out there watching, next week I need a gift. All right, we're gonna get all these holidays down. Yes. I love it. Thank you so much, Natalie. You are always
Thank you for having me
on here. I really appreciate you sharing. I know you're busy, and so we are going to support you. I can't wait for your books to hit Hallmark and the big screen, because I know they're going to do it. I've got that feeling. So you just keep doing what you're doing, and thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you, Michelle.
Yeah.
Morgan, show us that book cover, because I love your book cover.
Let me show you my book cover again.
I love that. It just says girlfriends and secrets. I can just see
that's our secret. I would just want to share a couple quick things. One is, I've told you the social marketing thing, social media and marketing, it's a journey. You got to stick with it. I am learning. But I would also say, excuse me, participating in going on the road. I curated my own book tour this year. It's been interesting. What I've learned, what I am learning is creating community, right? Being intentional and creating community with your readers, with other writers. With this, creating community with these other authors is what helps you. It helps you learn, helps you make connections, network, learning from one another. And so in doing so, my shirt right now, Writing Sister Summit, I just got back from Bali with other Black women writers. It was the best experience of my life. Look it up, Writing Sister Summit, with Nina Fox, with Sadiqa Johnson was our instructor. I mean, it was the most transformative experience I could have ever had. Learned so much, but also just got connected with other women writers and other aspects of their writing career, learned all kinds of things. So that's one thing. You also going to the event that Michelle put on, that hopefully you all will be at in June next year.
June 2020.
I will tell you the best conference, the best run. I mean, I've never been anything that goes boom, boom, boom. You're out of there, you're in there. It's put on well. The readers come, they buy. You do enough of these, you know exactly what you're looking for, and then you meet people. You meet people that help you understand what you need to do and where your resources are. And then going to other ones, you meet other folks that make new connections. So, for instance, next week or 2 weeks from now, Marsha Williams Cromer, another author, I'll be on her podcast, because you make connections, you network, you teach each other. And so, yes, you learn, you meet other readers, and you teach them, and you help them bring, you become like Natalie. Now all of a sudden she's teaching other people how to write books. And so that feeling of community, how to come together, this is what we've been doing as women, as Black women, all our lives. It's just, you just expanded to this new community. So that's the beauty of this. That's how you define success for yourselves. And if you sell a few books along the way, it makes it that much sweeter.
Thank you so much. You are such an inspiration. You go from telling us how you had such a rough time a couple of years ago. You've evolved out of your career as an attorney, and now you're on this tour. A tour of life is what I see from you.
That's
It's
what it
like
is. That's what it
enjoying
is.
yourself, writing and volleying. You are doing it. So
Girl.
congratulations on everything. I love the t-shirt. I need to find that organization and get
Yes.
connected because
I
that's
write, I flow, I am. You need
that
to
is.
get with the Writing Sister Summit. I will
I
post
love it.
something else about it because y'all want to be with us the next year. We're in New Mexico, then it's gonna be Morocco. You want to get
Oh,
with the Writing Sister
Morocco.
Summit.
Yes, you
Just
need to
saying.
send us that information. That's some good stuff. So thank you so much for being with us. I love your book cover. I know you're going to be writing any more books.
Oh, the sequel is in progress right now. The sequel is in progress, and the audiobook is coming out this year. And if any of you are you listen to audiobooks, I'm excited to finally be able to say, because the contract is signed and she's working on it. Angel
Mhm.
Peen is the narrator for the audiobook to Done in the Dark. So it is coming out
Send
for
me
the
that
holidays.
information. I've been looking for someone to do mine as well. So that'll be
Me
great.
too.
Yes,
Yes.
very excited
I've been
about that.
auditioning people, but I haven't found that
Yes.
voice I like yet.
Going
So,
through that audition process,
mhm.
Michelle, we should talk offline. That has been an experience. So
Yes.
I got some recommendations for you.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know. Cicely, let's wrap up with you. Talk to us. Give us some words of encouragement.
Words of encouragement. I've been encouraged, first off. Thank you so much for this platform. Natalie, Tamara, Michelle, everything you said. Tamara, just wrapping up the connections, making the connections. I heard that for myself. I need to do a little bit better. But final thoughts, just encouraging anyone, just know that your story matters. If you have words, those words have power, and for me, even in my brokenness, I found beauty when I chose to focus on purpose and gratitude in life. So, three things I would say when writing: one, consistency matters more than inspiration. Because you're not always going to be inspired. Inspired is a feeling. You need to write even when you don't feel like writing. Like I said, just put it in notes. It'll come together when it's time to come together. Don't compare your pace to someone else's, because your journey is going to be completely different, just as everything else is in life. So don't fall into a trap of comparing yourself. And then don't think that your story is small and it doesn't matter. As I just said, if it's something that you have to say it to the world. You may impact one, you may impact thousands, but if the purpose is to impact, start writing.
Cicely, you are such an inspiration. You're tackling something that is so important to all of us. And I just want to tell you to keep doing what you're doing. I know that it's hard and you've had to overcome things, but your healing is helping us to heal. When I hear you, I feel like this is someone who's done the work. And that's what it takes. And so we're in a season of our country where we need healing. We are grieving certain things, and I'm just grateful to see that you're really tackling these. And it's so many people in my life right now who I need to get your book for. And I've been, just while you're talking, I'm thinking about them. So I really appreciate all of you and everything that you're doing. It's so meaningful. It's so touching. And for those of you who were with us, I know we had some technical issues with Facebook at first, but this is going to be on YouTube. You can watch it forever. I think it's only on Facebook for a couple of months, but please go back and watch this entire conversation. I think you're going to learn a lot about writing, about success in writing, about publishing and marketing, and that we're just like you. So we're just putting our work out there, letting the world see it, and putting our passions on out. And I really do thank you for being with us. And I thank everyone on the screen. So you guys stay with me as we say goodbye. Just a few more things for everyone. Please go to Direct to Author to buy books. We do ask that you support our independent authors. We need your support. Also, June 20th of 2026 is the Black Ink Book Festival here in New Orleans. I will be posting, start to promote it November 1st. So if you're interested in getting a booth, you can do so. It is free to the public, but we do have booths available for all of our creators if you're interested. We have the blackwritersworkspace.com. We have a new website, so you can go on there. You can see our master classes, and you can also see this podcast. So we've got a lot going on with the Black Writers Workspace Direct to Author, and we just thank you all for being supporters. So have a great Saturday, and we will be doing this again on, I think, November the 8th with a whole nother group of writers, and they're going to be on here to do the same thing, talk about their great works. Take care.
Thank you.